The Xbox One came out in 2013 to a pretty mixed reception, but since then has really regained popularity. However, it is set to be replaced this holiday season by the new Xbox Series X. Hey, how's it going? I'm Josh from 91 Tech, and today we're taking a look at the Xbox One. How does it hold up in 2020, and is it still worth buying? If you've seen my review for the PS4, you'll know my answer for that console was no, you shouldn't buy it. The big reason for this was because the PS5 coming at the end of the year will be able to play PS4 games, and thus you might as well just wait for the new console. Here's the thing, I actually wouldn't say this is the case when it comes to the Xbox One. Yes, the new Xbox Series X will be able to play Xbox One games, same as the PS5 with PS4 games, but it won't have any first-party exclusives right out of the gate, which is something Microsoft recently said. So essentially, games like Halo Infinite that have been very hyped and are probably going to be a launch title for the Xbox Series X will be playable on Xbox One. Now, there will likely be other exclusive games to the new consoles that Microsoft themselves doesn't make, but generally the reason you would buy an Xbox is because you want to play Xbox-only games like Forza or Halo. But for the next couple years, you should be able to play those games on the Xbox One, which is a big plus for sticking with the Xbox One right now, or actually just picking it up in 2020. Of course, newer games will run better on the Xbox Series X, absolutely higher resolution, better frame rate, that kind of thing, but this at least gives us some more options, and I think that's a really consumer-friendly decision on Microsoft's part, especially because the Xbox One is laughably cheap on Amazon, such as Xbox One with Star Wars Fallen Order for $229. I'll link the best deals I find on Amazon in the description below if you're interested. You could also go for the digital-only Xbox One, which is cool if you prefer downloading games, but keep in mind there's no disc tray, which means you have to download games to play anything. It's $175 right now. Honestly, I personally wouldn't buy it, but if you really don't care about physical copies of games, then that's always an option. There's also the Xbox One X, which is essentially the PS4 Pro equivalent, although actually a little bit more powerful. It can handle 4K gaming, which is something you should really be thinking about if you have a 4K TV, because it's gonna look a lot better than the base Xbox One S. On Amazon, the Xbox One X kind of varies in price, but I found one with NBA 2K19 for $337, and then another one for $349 with the Division 2, which I'd say is a decent deal and would be worth picking up if it weren't for the fact that the new Xbox is coming later this year and probably won't cost that much more than that, and will be able to play the same games, but better. If you're looking for power from your console and, high quality 4K graphics, you might as well just wait for the Xbox Series X. However, if you don't care about all that, the Xbox One S is a really good 1080p gaming machine, and right now it's totally worth getting, especially because it's not going to drop that much more in price once the new Xbox comes out because it's already really cheap. And then of course there is the original Xbox One, which you'll still find once in a while. It's bigger, clunkier, and not being sold new anymore for the most part. You can still find them used and refurbished everywhere, but I'd say there's not much point of getting it right now because the Xbox One S is already so cheap. If you're getting it used with like a really good bundle on Craigslist for a good deal, then that's something else, but generally speaking, I'd say just go for the Xbox One S because it's sleeker and nicer and, again, really darn cheap. If you do buy a new console, make sure you get 1 terabyte of space. 500 gigabytes really isn't a lot, and it'll get eaten up pretty quickly if you have a lot of games. Even if you have disc copies of games, they are installed on the hard drive, so they'll often take up at least around 50 gigabytes depending on the game, so 1 terabyte is really something you're going to want to look for. But let's talk about the reason you'd want to buy an Xbox One in the first place, the games. While Xbox does not feature nearly as many exclusives as PS4, it still has most of the best games of the generation. There's the Halo Master Chief Collection, Final Fantasy 15, Cuphead, Halo 5, Resident Evil 2 and 7, Forza Motorsport 7, Forza Horizon 4, Gears of War 4 and 5, Titanfall 2, Destiny 2, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Metal Gear Solid 5, Fallout 4, Witcher 3, Red Dead Redemption 2. These are just some of the many games you can play on Xbox and sink dozens and dozens of hours into. And most of those games are pretty darn cheap at this point. If they've been out multiple years, then you can probably find them for like 20 bucks at your local game store or even online on sale. That's the advantage of jumping on the console train this late in the generation. All the good games are out for the most part, and most of them aren't being sold full price anymore. And yeah, well sure, the new Xbox is coming later this year. Again, you'll be able to play a lot of those newer games coming out like Halo Infinite on your Xbox One S, making this console not a bad purchase. One really great thing about the Xbox One is that it can actually play Xbox 360 games, and at this point it can actually play pretty much most of them. This is pretty darn awesome, and it's a great reason to get an Xbox One over a PS4 because the PS4 cannot play PS3 games. Games are the most important factor when considering a console, and Xbox Game Pass makes this easy. It's a subscription service that costs $10 a month and gives you a pretty big library of over 100 games that you can just download and play whenever you want. It's kind of like Netflix, but with games. And it has some pretty big name titles like the Master Chief Collection and Forza Horizon and Gears 5, which came out pretty recently. If you don't feel like buying games outright and want a wide selection of titles to play from, Game Pass is absolutely the way to do that. There's also Xbox Live Gold, which is a subscription that costs about 60 bucks a year, and essentially you need it to play pretty much any online multiplayer game. It's unfortunate, but PlayStation Plus is also a thing on the Sony side, so it's just a reality at this point. What's almost as important as the games you're playing is how you're playing them, and the Xbox controller is a great way to do that. This is probably my favorite controller of the generation. I really like it. I think it's really comfortable to hold. It also looks good, and yeah, I just have nothing to complain about. The Xbox One Elite 2 controller is worth mentioning. It's a really cool controller that costs like 180 bucks. That's almost the same price as that Xbox One S I found earlier on Amazon. It's a great controller, don't get me wrong, but I definitely can't justify that kind of money on it, and you probably can't either. That said, the base Xbox controller that comes with the system is great. Overall, except for the Xbox Elite controller, the Xbox One excels in being cheap. This console can play most of the big games of the generation for like 200 bucks. That is a really good deal, and it's absolutely worth picking up in 2020 if you still somehow haven't jumped aboard this generation yet. And so with that, I think I'm pretty much done here. There's not a whole lot to say. The Xbox One is surprisingly worth it, which is the opposite conclusion I came to from the PS4 review. So good job, Xbox, for making it still a good deal. What console are you planning on buying the next generation? What was your favorite game of this generation? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video interesting or helpful, maybe hit that like button and consider subscribing for more content just like this. You can follow me over on Twitter and Instagram at 91_tech if you'd like to for some reason. With that all being said, I'm Josh from 91 Tech, and I will see you all next time.